the 7M TikTok cult. And I just got off and finished a podcast, which is the third podcast interview I've had this week. I was on Kate Casey's Reality Life on Monday, and I recorded with Heather McDonald for Juicy Scoop on Monday, and then I just recorded another one for another podcast I don't know when they're going to put it out, maybe next week. And in these interviews, I've been thinking a lot about how this story is spreading, and it's amazing. It's been incredible to see the response from people on TikTok. Make sure to tap your screen and help me get more people in here, because I would love for people to hear this, because this is really important. The one thing that I've learned in the more than 2 years that I've covered this story and helped put the production together is that hit the taps and give me some likes and help me get this out into hit those taps. Come on, everyone. Help push me out, because I need your help. I need your help. Okay. I was thinking about something. Since Dancing for the Devil was hit on Netflix, it's been 2 weeks today, and it has been overwhelming. We were number one for 10 days in a row. We're now number 5, I think, in the United States, but we are literally still in the top 10 in 25 countries, I think, at this point across the world. It has been viewed and streamed more than 4 million times. That means so many people are watching. And I've noticed that there are tons of creators now on TikTok that are starting to talk about the series. And I'm so grateful, because the one challenge that we had, me and the other two girls that were archival consultants that have heavily been covering this, that were part of the series, that helped put together the archives of information so that they could tell the story, for a period of time, Robert Shin was allowed to control the narrative. He was allowed to dictate and deceive and make people feel like we were lying, like we were somehow lying to them lying to all of you about who he was. We were lying about the cult. We were lying about the abuse. We were lying about the reports. We were lying about everything. They created all of these accounts, all of these bot accounts, all of these creators on YouTube to go after us and go after the Wilking family and to send threats to us. And now so many of you guys are talking about it. And this is amazing. I am so excited to see so many of you invested in this story, digging into the story, spreading awareness about the story, helping get this story out, sharing the story and the series with your friends, sending emails to law enforcement in Los Angeles and the DA, and contacting and tagging them on the internet and on Instagram and on social media, and asking them why he still hasn't been arrested. And those of you that have signed our petition, thank you. Please consider signing the petition, which you can actually find in my profile. This story has not changed a lot in the last couple years. We saw a lot of people leave in the spring of 2022 and into the summer. And they left after a lot of new information came out. They left after learning about the years and years and years of alleged abuse and all of the different members that had been hurt by Robert Shin. They left and they started asking questions, and they left and they started asking questions, and they wanted Robert to give them answers. And Robert, as you heard in the series, doubled down and started acting kind of maniacal and maniac and panicking. And it's truly amazing because we know for a fact that that's probably happening right now. Robert is probably panicking. Robert is probably trying to double down. Robert is trying to change the narrative and make people think that it's different than what it is and it's not really a cult. You guys, can you please help me tap and get more people to view this? My views are going down. I need you guys to help. And what we need now are other creators to continue to spread awareness, to not back down, to not be bullied, and to stand up against any of these accounts that are spreading misinformation and bullying the people involved. The threats that Miranda received are more than likely not from anyone on our side of the story. Because I can tell you for a fact, I received death threats today, and specifically very similar to what Miranda received. And those threats were supposedly coming from Shin's side. I'll tell you something. Anyone that speaks out about this is going to get threats. The bot accounts are going to try to intimidate you and make you feel like everyone is lying. They're going to try to make you think that the people involved are lying, that I'm a liar. But what's really ironic in all of this is that if they're going to spin this and continue to go after me and go after the victims, it's weird, right? Why would they spend all of their time talking about me when everything is in the series? If you watch the series, you hear from people in their own words. You hear from Nick's parents, you hear from the Wilkins, you hear from Melanie, you hear from Priscilla, you hear from Kylie, you hear from Kalia, you hear from Kevin, you hear from Aubrey, you hear from Melanie's friend. We have court records. There's documentation. There's so much more than what is in this series that's out there. And this story isn't about me. And so when people start sending threats to me or to other creators, just remember that, like, this story isn't about you. And if they're sending you those threats, just know that it's probably because they want to silence you. And they think that if you're a smaller creator, you can be silenced. And I'm telling you, the worst thing to do in a situation like this is to stay silent. The more pressure you put on, the more you expose, the more you share, the more you talk about your experiences, the more you find power to speak about what it is that you're seeing. If you're someone that was impacted by Shin, if you've been a part of his church, if you're a former member, the more truth that gets out. I have been swamped with messages from former members, from people that have been part of the church from 20 years ago. It's been amazing to hear from you. And I hope this series emboldens more of you to speak, because people like Robert do best when there is silence and when they can control the narrative. But if you don't let them control the narrative by using your voice, they can't win. They can try to make you feel like scared. They might make you feel like something's going to happen to you, but more than likely it's literally empty air, and they're doing it thinking that if they do this, you will stop. The one thing I've learned in this process is you cannot stop. You cannot bend to someone doing that. You cannot be intimidated. Because if you're intimidated and you go in silence, then the people that are inside can be hurt. And there's no level of accountability. So what I'm really, really, really asking for all people and all creators that are out there that are covering this is, when you're covering this and when you're talking about this, ask Robert Shin in your coverage, why Robert, say, Robert, why aren't you speaking? Robert Shin, why aren't you saying anything right now? Robert Shin, why aren't you speaking instead of making the dancers speak? Why are you putting Miranda out and hanging her to dry, driving the bus over her, making her like take all the fall for you? Why aren't you out there actually saying something and not doing it behind your phony 7M Instagram page that we know has a 18,000 fake followers at this point. Why aren't you actually making a statement? If you're managing these talent, if you're managing their careers, why aren't you saying anything? Why wouldn't you come out and say, that's not true? Or if you did do it, why don't you acknowledge it? Like Melanie said in the series in 2008, when Robert was confronted by other women that he had done things to, he acknowledged it and he apologized. Well, kind of. He basically blamed them, but did acknowledge that there was actions that occurred. And that's been his MO the whole time. He always blames the women and says they hit on him. Either way, if you're the man of God and if you are someone that walks with God and you claim declare, I want people to ask these things to Robert in their videos. Like, say to Robert, if you're a man of God, why aren't you guiding your flock and being the vocal voice of your flock? If you're the man of God, why aren't you leading them? Why aren't you the one putting out videos? Why aren't you the one saying things? Why are you the one that's not going on video and giving a statement? Why are you making Miranda do it? You know, Robert, that this series is not about Miranda. Robert wants the dancers to feel like the series is only about Miranda. But all of you that have seen the series know, you know very well that if you saw the series, this wasn't about Miranda. This was about so many more people than Miranda. And if you watched the series, you also know that Kelly and Dean and Melanie Wilking weren't just speaking out for Miranda. You watched them speak to other women that have been hurt by Robert. You watched them try to help those women seek justice. You watched these women get help and find a community of other people to help them. You found the dancers find comfort in Melanie, who helped them put together a lawsuit. You saw the parents reaching out to members that were in the series, that were in the church 20 years ago, and trying to help them get justice against Robert. If you think these parents did this only for their kids, you'd be fooled by Robert. Kelly, Dean, Magdalia, and Lawrence are the most selfless people I've ever met. They're the kindest, most loving humans, and all they want is their kids home, and they also don't want Robert to take anyone else's kids from their families. And when you're making content, ask Robert why. Why aren't you speaking, Robert? If you're any other pastor, like, let's put this in the position of, I don't know, who's a big pastor? Joel Osteen. It's someone I can think off the top of my head. Say Joel Osteen was accused of these types of things. Imagine if there was a documentary made about Joel Osteen like this, and Joel just said nothing. Imagine if Joel just sent out all of his followers to defend him, and then just filed lawsuits against everyone that said anything about him. How do you think that would go over for Joel? Can you imagine in any capacity him doing something like that? I can't. Not to say that I like Joel, but I'm saying, like, any other pastor with any kind of following would say something. But Robert is not saying anything. Do you hear my dogs? So my dogs are barking. Okay. Can you guys help tap and get me out there more? But coming here and eating the Robert narrative that Miranda wants to be there and she's happy there and she's not scared and this is what she wants doesn't help Miranda. Coming here and saying that Nick wants to be there and he's not scared doesn't help Nick. Watching his posts that he's making these people put out and believing the posts are true doesn't help them. If and when they get out Miranda, Nick, and all of these guys that are in, Kendra, Tight Eyes, James, they're going to know that everyone involved with this series did this because they love them. They want to get them out of an unsafe environment. They want to protect them from Robert. They want to protect them from Robert's mentors. They want to help get them out. They've also signed NDAs. So of course, they're not going to say anything disparaging against Robert. Why would they say anything disparaging against Robert if they've had to sign an NDA? I don't think you would, do you? Who am I? Who am I? Who are you? I'm Katie Joy. I was an archival consultant on 7M's on Dancing for the Devil on Netflix. I worked on the production. And trying to silence people isn't going to stop this from, you know what, I actually had this funny thought about it. So Robert and his bot people are like coming at them hard, right? And they are probably scared because he's in control of their money, their living arrangements. He's also in control of their destiny. Some of them, if you listen to Priscilla in the series, she talks about how she was so convinced that if she left, that her family was going to go to hell and burn, and that it was her job to save her family from it, right? So they're also likely scared about their own salvation and the people that their own salvation. Okay. You're so hooked on this. This is crazy. Well, if you're hooked, make sure if you have an account that makes this kind of content, share it. And listen, I don't often come on live. I don't do TikTok very much. I'm brand new to this area of the internet. But the biggest thing that I would also ask for all of you is to remember that all the dancers are victims. And when making content, don't degrade them, don't call them names, don't question the status of their place in this group, don't accuse them of being not victims, don't accuse them of grooming or trying to prey on their friends. That doesn't help. The bad guy here is Robert. It's not the dancers. They're all victims. My other thing I would suggest is trying to other things that don't help are like tying conspiracies that have nothing to do with the series or the cult. Like a huge one that's been all over TikTok is that that Twitch was involved in this group. He was not. Twitch from Ellen, who passed away, unalived himself, and his wife Allison were seen collabing with them. They knew these dancers from So You Think You Can Dance. They were never in the cult. Twitch's bio never included 7M. Twitch never was in 7M or Shekinah. And frankly, Twitch was an executive producer on one of the top daytime television shows, Ellen. He was represented by management that was legitimate. He was a well-established person in the industry that had spent, I don't know, almost a decade on Ellen. He did not need 7M, and he was never a part of it. Yeah, right now they're spamming and saying that I went after like a blind person, but that's just stupid, not true. Oh, you became the number 11 member of the team. Thank you for joining the team. Thanks for the gifts and the joins and all of that. So yeah, just when you're talking about it, just think about those things. Don't focus so much on the dancers, focus on Robert. And don't place people in it that are not a part of it. Like in the series, we showed you who's involved from the dancers, and those are the people that are involved. There are people that are kind of on the fringe that they're friends with, but that doesn't mean they're involved in the cult. These people had relationships and friendships before that. My 21 talent acts stand behind you. Cool. So yeah, just don't be silent. Don't be silent. Just keep saying, I know, block. I'm trying, I don't really I don't do TikTok and I don't read comments and I don't try to respond to lots of people. I don't know if that person's telling me that I should be blocking or if they're telling me that I shouldn't be blocking, but Vic is still involved in the cult. He's in. The people that are still in are still in. Vic, Miranda, James, Nick, Tight Eyes, and Kendra. They're all still in. So yeah, just keep talking about it. Try not to add conspiracies to it and try to stick to the facts. If you put out content that is not accurate, they will use it against you to try to reduce your credibility. So if you put out a video and it's not truthful, like saying Twitch was involved, then the cult will tell people, see, you can't trust that account, even if it's got 5 million people following on TikTok, because they will say that account said that Twitch was involved and we know he wasn't. So you cannot trust them for anything. So you have to be so careful about what you put out and try to just stick to the facts. And the facts are so powerful without adding people into the story that weren't involved or adding situations that never happened. So I appreciate everyone. Hello. So anyone that's covering the story, just be super awesome. Ask Robert questions. Ask Robert why he hasn't actually done anything. Why hasn't he responded? Why hasn't he done anything to protect the dancers? Why is the man of God silent? If the man of God is a leader, why is he silent? They have a status conference coming up in July on the lawsuit. There's a bunch of discovery questions for his California lawsuits. So yeah, that's coming up. Yes, Vic is in the cult. He's with a new company because I'm sure Robert said that he needed to look like he's not in the cult because Vic makes him money. You cannot pay attention to what Vic posts because he's controlled by Robert. And if he has a new management team, it's Robert doing that to make it look like he doesn't have any influence over Vic. It's a game. Reno deleted his TikTok, he deleted his Instagram, and he deleted his YouTube, and that would be at the direction of Robert Shin because they are trying to make Vic look like he doesn't exist anymore, or make Reno look like he doesn't exist anymore. And because Reno's family was involved in the series, I think he's intentionally deleting Nick because he doesn't want people to so for instance, if someone were going to do a Google search, right? And they start looking for Nick Reno, they can't find him anymore, right? So if they can't find him, then Robert can go, well, Nick's not in there. I told you he's not in there. Who is this lady? She's crazy. Thank you. Bless you. Thank you. How do after I not approve her? Okay. I don't know why Robert makes the decisions that he makes, but my guess with Nick is because they want it so people can't find Nick, so they can't prove that Nick exists, because Robert wants to hold on to the narrative that the series is only about Miranda. And if you can't find Nick, then people are going to go online going, where's Nick? There's no Nick. So then they're going to try to question the credibility of the series and say, well, Nick's not involved. It's just a game. It's a game. Thank you so much, Tina. Thank you, Social Guru. So nobody in the cult knows they're in a cult. Nobody in a cult knows they're in a cult until after they leave a cult. Telling people that are in a cult that they're in a cult doesn't make them change their fact that they're in a cult, and it's not going to make them actually listen to you. Going onto their pages and leaving comments and telling them that they believe wrong won't help them. They won't listen. They're going to just feel more resolved if you attack them. They're going to feel like if you go to their comments and leave a comment saying that you're following a false prophet, they're going to view that as a sign that the world is attacking, and it's a spiritual attack on their pastor, their man of God. It's only going to make them dive further into the cult. So it's just really not helpful to leave those kind of comments. It's not really helpful to engage with them because they're not going to listen. And if they see negativity coming their way on their own pages, it's going to make them realize like this, he was right. They're all attacking us. It's a spirit. They're demonic. I don't. Well, I mean, they could unfollow them, but it doesn't change that Robert doesn't have any accountability. If they all left right now, they would look like heroes, frankly. Here's the thing. If they left right now, if all of these dancers left right now, they could look like heroes. They could look like they saw this and they realized they got misled, and now they're going to do the right thing and leave, and they're going to stand up against Robert. But the fact that they're staying should just kind of prove to you that they're in a cult. Miranda's statements should kind of prove to you that they're in a cult. And if you watch the series, you see what Robert does and how he directs people to do things for him. I'm not going to comment on if I agree or not agree with the Wilkins. I'm not going to comment about Miranda's relationship with her family. So, yeah. I definitely feel bad for the families as well. The focus really needs to be on Robert. It really does. And just don't be silent. Don't be fooled by the comments and the people that are botting and saying nasty things. When you see people going after the people in the series or trying to start fights with people between the series, trying to create division of any kind, just think, oh, that's someone from the cult. Vic's family has never spoken publicly about this situation. The only people that were involved were people that had spoken publicly. And if you hadn't spoken publicly, there was no, if you haven't made a concern known and you weren't trying to help others and get attention and say like, this is the problem. If you were just in the background and you were okay with it, you weren't asked because you hadn't said anything. The celebration Vic had with his mom was weeks before the show aired. He's posting old content. Frankly, I know so many of you are obsessed with Vic. You shouldn't be right now. You really shouldn't be obsessed with Vic. You shouldn't be following Vic. You shouldn't be paying attention to Vic. Just because Vic's a good-looking kid and you like the way that he dances, you can't take anything seriously on his page. And he's not a good influence for your children. He's not a good influence for you right now. They are following teachings that are very homophobic, that are racist, that are extremely extreme. This is religious fundamentalism. This is not your average run-of-the-mill Christian church. This is alt-right Christian nationalism, extremism, fanaticalism. It is not the kind of religion and the faith that you would want your children to follow. If you want to learn more about this group, you can check out my main page here. You can also check out my Instagram and on my YouTube channel. Yeah, she's definitely not able to make her own choices. They have to ask their mentors for everything. So I've seen emails between mentors and people involved, and the mentor emails, they have to literally ask for questions everywhere, for everything. Like if say they get a contact from someone that's from their life, right? So they're emailing their mentor all day, telling their mentor what they do. And say their mom contacts them. And say their mom is not okay with the fact that they're involved in this group. The mentor is going to try to get them not to talk to their mom, or it's going to have them say something combative to their mom or pick a fight with their mom. Hell, the mentor might even take over their social media and respond for them. The mentor might actually write information and post a statement on that person's platform. That's the thing with Miranda and with all of these people that are posting. You have to remember that the mentors have their passwords for social media. They have access to their emails. They have access to their DMs. They have access to leaving comments. So when you see a post, you don't really know if it's actually from Miranda or if they've created it for her. And even if she goes like and makes a video and says the words, you don't even know if those words are from her or if they come from her mentor. Yeah, the mentors are just the people that are like his deputies. They're like the people that are in charge of his followers because he views it as like a hierarchy. It's like a pyramid with him at the top. It is almost Friday. And if you haven't checked me out on my YouTube channel, I have like longer form videos there. My YouTube channel is Without a Crystal Ball. And it has, so you know that it's me. It's, the channel is verified. And it has like 371,000 subscribers. There are fake accounts that use my name that are trying to like get you to look at them. And they're part of Shin's like slander campaign. But yeah, you can check out my content there as well. I do longer form videos on YouTube. I cover other things. Oh, that's me. That's me. Yeah. I actually have to get to work to make a new video for YouTube right now. But I wanted to come onto my platform here. I need to do one more day and one more live. And then apparently my whole live platform on YouTube, on TikTok will finally open. I hope you guys understand and know that like I appreciate all of the support. I know the families appreciate all of the love and support. I know the survivors appreciate all the love and support. I know that everyone involved just is so grateful for the overwhelming love they're receiving. We only ask that you don't send hate or hurtful statements to the victims involved in the situation, and that if you make content about them, that you remember that the dancers are victims and they're not the bad guys. So I don't know, sending Miranda nasty messages, Vic nasty messages, it won't help. But I appreciate all of you guys for being there with me and helping my TikTok content grow. Make sure to share this TikTok like page with other people. Like I have a bunch of videos that you all can, I don't know, you can stitch or duet with. I don't know. I open it so that you can do whatever. And if you are a creator that has a platform that's bigger than mine and you have a question, you can also reach out to me in my DMs here. If I don't always check them, but if I see you and I see it, and I'll do my best to respond. I'm all about helping people put out the most accurate information as possible. Thank you guys.